anyways, the Vancouver Canucks took their first regulation loss at home. Um, it's so great. Against the Seattle Kraken, nonetheless. So, two back-to-back games against division rivals, which is great. It's great. 4-3 loss in regulation. Hoglander, so close at the end there, but it's too little too late. No offense to him, obviously. Back-to-back goal games, good for him. Keep him in the lineup, I swear. Before we get into the show tonight, I have a little message from our friends at Betano. The NHL season is heating up, and there's never been a better time to get in on the action. Whether you're looking to hammer an Austin Matthews anytime goal or ride the puck line with the Montreal Canadiens, our partners at Sign Up Expert want to make sure you're ready to sweat your bets with one of the best. Sign Up Expert is hooking up our listeners with one of the newest sportbooks available in Canada, Betano. Betano is home to some of the best odds when it comes to betting on the NHL and offers unique markets including virtual soccer and basketball. All you have to do to get started is scan that QR code on your screen or click the link in the description to register and place that first bet. If you thought the Vancouver Canucks have been the best surprise of the season so far, wait until you try Betano. Don't walk, run. To check out Betano today, scan that QR code or hit the link in the description to get started and start sweating your bets with the best. Always remember to bet responsibly and within your means. Viewers must be 19 plus to sign up for Betano. All right, so I have a very special guest with us tonight for Game Over. We are joined tonight by Seattle Kraken fan, Seattle Kraken analyzer, Seattle Kraken enjoyer, and also a Game Over favorite, so you're going to see her across the platform. I am joined by my friend, the darling, Chanel Keenan. How are you tonight?
I am here. I am tired, but I am so happy to be here with you tonight. Yay!
Yeah, I should point out, Chanel's calling it from the East Coast, so
Yep.
let's all say thank you, Chanel, for dealing with me at this late hour for you. Yeah, so the Seattle Kraken, they won. They won. They beat the Canucks at home. It's the Canucks' first regulation loss. The only other loss they have sustained at home was the questionable overtime win for the Rangers. But yeah, so let's get into the game. So first of all, it was Oliver Bjorkstrand's 100th game as the Seattle Kraken. I didn't realize how many games the Seattle Kraken have played. I guess basic math is 82 times 3. But I've never, or not even 3 yet, but I'm not very good at math, so
Neither am I. I can't help you with that either.
later on they mentioned, where was it? It was Adam Larson. Where is he? I made a note for this specifically because there's a follow-up note to it. Yes, okay, it was in the second. Adam Larson is the only player to play every game for the Seattle Kraken, and so he's played, all the games for the Kraken, and then he also has the 6th longest Ironman streak going on right now because of that. Like, dates back before the Kraken. Yeah. I was not expecting that.
Dang.
Anytime I hear Adam Larson, it sounds like Ekman Larson in my brain, so I'm just very confused all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I was watching the Seattle Colorado game earlier this week, and
Were you just so confused?
I was so confused. I was like, what happened here? I mean, I think OEL has more points at this point though than Adam Larson.
Probably.
He's
Yeah,
lighting it up in
definitely.
Florida. Good for him.
We love that for him.
Yeah. It's like the farm for retired player. I don't really know what analogy I'm going for there. Anyway,
Oh
Bjorkstrand's
no.
100th game as a Kraken. One thing I've noticed from the Vancouver end, literally the Vancouver end, is Demko is way much more comfortable leaving his net now. I don't really like that. He has gotten into the habit more. I understand, the goalies, they feel like they should help sometimes. They go behind the net, they move the puck out.
Yeah.
But that's your Demko. This literally went wrong almost went horrifically wrong in the Islanders game the other night. He went behind the net and then he gave the puck away and then had to jump in front of the net again. And I'm like, okay, this is our Vezina caliber goaltender and he's doing this. I was just like, okay, that's like not to knock on the guy. Obviously, he's part of the reason we've won a lot of games so far this season. But at the same time, like, buddy, just get like one of those like backpack leashes.
Oh my
Have
gosh,
you
yeah.
seen those? Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I just get one of those, just tie it to like the net and we're
Yeah,
golden. No
yeah.
more goals. The Canucks I didn't think of a better word to write this cuz I wrote Canucks, why are you so submissive in your zone? But I felt like in the first half, I know it's wrong to say, but I felt like in the first half of the first period, especially in the beginning and like later on as well, it was kind of like they kind of just held back. They all clumped together. This was like a reoccurring thing. Like I understand they're trying to do
Hmm.
defensive systems or whatever, but that's really not working for them if your defensive system is clump. Um, yeah, they kept letting the Kraken get really close to Demko, which I is a Kraken
That.
specialty for scoring.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of clips of that, and I was like, oh, we're letting them do that. Awesome. Um, there was the weird goal. That's the next point we have is the weird goal. The first of two, might I add, because there were two goals that were reviewed automatically just because they were a bit weird. And then I saw a tweet later on that's from uh Bick Nazar from 650 Sports at 650. He said that the 1-1 Kraken goal may have been slightly offside, but like offside in the way that it's like very close. So similar to how they couldn't really exactly measure when Eberle's stick came in contact with the puck to determine high
Yeah.
sticking. They couldn't tell if Borgen actually took the puck off out of the net. What was your opinion on that goal? Because I need to hear it from a perspective that's not like completely. Because
I I am honestly just surprised that we even won tonight. I'm surprised that we didn't go to overtime because I feel like every game that I've seen this season, we've gone to overtime or a shootout. It's not been good for my sleep, my health. Uh, yesterday I legit we played yesterday. I didn't watch because I was wondering if it was me, if I was the problem. So I decided like I'm gonna take the night off. We'll see. And good thing I did because they won. So I was a little worried when I decided to volunteer for this that they were also going to lose. Um, yeah, it honestly it felt like a really I don't know if you have this feeling or if it's just because my brain is so tired. But it kind of felt like I was watching like a simulation game. Like there were some things that just like just seemed a little unnatural. So yeah, I don't know. I was happy obviously, but it was just kind of like it's a crapshoot. I feel like every review this season, because I feel like there's been at least one or two every game, and like the Toronto Review Center must be going through it this year. So
that was my
ultimately, I feel bad for them.
yeah. I mean, oh, it's in Toronto. No, I I really thought that it was gonna get called back just because of what goals that we've seen get called back in recent memory this season. The season's only been going on for just over a month now, but in the last week or so, I think we've had a couple big ones get called back, like the New York Rangers. They had a goal called back, I believe, when it was pretty much over the line. I think it was against Columbus. I might be completely wrong here, but and then there was also the Anaheim goal last night that got called back when it was very much so in the net. And I think Anaheim even tweeted about it that it was called back, but
Yeah,
it was
they had the photo, and
yeah.
you could tell because like the opposite equipment, like you could see because the yeah, it was more visual than anything
Mm-hmm.
else. Yeah, I the reviews this year have been egregious. Always, no one knows what goaltender interference is to this day.
Oh,
So many
the Washington
different
game.
things that just they just seem to not be able to get it together, and I just don't know if they're like, if we're just consistently inconsistent, isn't that good? Like, it doesn't that mean, because I didn't have the sound on for it, so I honestly thought I was gonna get called back myself just with the way
Mm-hmm.
it looked. And then I was a little bit confused when it was stayed. So, I agree. It was very odd, to say the least.
Yeah, they need to definitely change a lot of things about the reviewing system. I think Kevin Bieksa made a good point on the Sportsnet broadcast in the second intermission after the Eberle goal had already happened. He said there should be like a laser system to like
Yeah.
calculate where it is, and I'm just like that. Like, if we actually don't we have the technology to track when the puck goes into the net or the puck's offside or
Yeah.
something? We could literally
Yeah.
track that, but they just no, we're gonna watch like this 480p video.
I honestly think if they were just good at their job, like there wouldn't be it wouldn't be that because and obviously again, like I as the Kraken fan am happy with the result, but I think I would rather them get it right than just have it be like a 50-50 situation, like a coin flip of like, oh, well, let's just give it to them this time. It's like see what happens. It's like no, I even if you take it back, I want you to be right about it. It's just frustrating for everybody.
Yeah, it's like imagine like a Stanley Cup was decided by
No,
a
I mean,
questionable
hey,
goal
hey, I've
review.
had a couple of those as another team fan, okay, that have also been a little odd. But we will not mention their
We are
name.
not talking about them.
We will not talk about them right now.
2011 B is just gonna scream in the background.
So
Yeah, so it was Will Borgen grabs the puck off the goal line. I get 2004. Don't even start
I
here.
was I was making a list. Actually, 2011 wasn't even on my top of mind when I was thinking
Oh,
about the other team. I was thinking about too many different ones, honestly.
no, 2011 me is just all still mad about whatever happened
Yeah,
in the finals. I was 8.
yeah.
I feel like that's allowed. Um,
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
totally.
Um, it was weird. I really thought it was gonna get called back because it was like a hair that it was
Yeah.
of white ice, and some angles showed it going in. Some angles, I feel like that also affects it too because sometimes they don't look at all the angles, and I feel like
Right.
that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like, if shows like Riverdale can film multiple angles of the same thing, so can the NHL. Like, it's not hard, bestie. You can try
Yeah.
harder. But yeah, it was Miller from Myers and Di Giuseppe. Dave Hackstall wanted an explanation for that. The puck was in the net. I don't know what the explanation is. Um, and then yeah, seven. It was Miller's 7 game point streak. He has 5 goals, 7 assists. Um, at that point, he was the sole leader in the NHL for scoring. That got beat later with the second Canucks goal. It was also Tyler Myers' 350th career point. He will
Wow.
be mentioned a lot tonight. Um, the Canucks are 9-2 when scoring first. Not anymore.
Oh.
Not anymore. 9-3 now. 9-2 definitely also was last night. Not last night. Last game when we lost to the Flames, which was great. I thought Huberto was gonna get a hat trick. That was my prediction for that game. Um, there were a lot of close calls with Demko far out, and just the Canucks letting the Kraken like towards the goalie, which
Mhm.
if this was like Tampa and it was Vasilevsky in net, you are not allowed within 10 feet of him whatsoever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
suddenly it's the Seattle Kraken. I don't know if the Canucks are still getting used to the jerseys or like, oh, it's teal. I don't see that enough. Oh, it must be San Jose. They don't try. No, no, this is the Seattle Kraken. They've been here for a while.
Mhm.
Watch the players. God damn it. I swear, like every single time. like throughout the game, they were just coming directly in front of Thatcher Demko. And I'm like, I understand you guys slack off on defense when it's Demko because he's Demko. But
Right.
at the same time, you have to stop Seattle from generating the chances to get closer to your goalie. I understand, like, part of hockey is scoring goals, and you need to get closer to the net to score the goal. Most of the time, unless it's on Mike Smith in the playoffs. That one Flames goal from like 2 or 3 years ago. That's my Roman Empire. Anyway, yeah, you can't let players get that close to your goalie. There was a lot of aggression between the two teams, something we
Yeah.
will get into later. But yeah, just clumping in the D zone. Another interesting stat that I learned while in Detroit, Philip Hronek went 1,000 days without being interviewed by media. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's surely a good sign. That can only mean good things, right?
It's like it's probably like point A4 of the Iser plan or something like that. No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that he said that that's not happening here in Vancouver, and I'm like, yeah. Sorry. Um and then there was a first penalty taken by the Canucks for Noah Juulsen, who's still on the team in the National Hockey League. It was tripping on Beniers, something that always happens to Beniers when the Canucks play him. I mean, no, it was just a Myers hit that got him last time, but yeah, Kraken good at net front on the power play. Cole and Myers were guarding kind of that spot, and then Miller and Pettersson were trying to. Ooh, sorry, I hit my mic. If that made any noises. They weren't allowing rebounds. That would be subject to change. Anyway, that then came the end of the first period. Tyler Myers on the radio said, "There's a calmness to my game," when asked about the changes this season. Tyler Myers, nicknamed Chaos Giraffe, said there's a calmness to his game.
That's so interesting.
It was very interesting. I heard that like the moment I turned on my radio, and I just texted my friend and I was like, dude, you will have no idea what he said. um, oh, go Kings go. You are lost. Second period starts. Jamie Alexiak, 96 mile per hour slap shot. Again, I don't know this Canadian broadcast. I don't know why we're calculating miles per hour, but I understand it. I don't understand
Yeah.
miles. I kind of get it. It's more. It's more. It's more. Yeah, Canucks can't change fast enough. Created an on-band rush. Can't contain the speed. Another thing about Tyler Myers, the calm Tyler Myers, he just kind of stared at the puck as it went in. So did Brock Besser. I can't believe I'm faulting Brock Besser. This is so unlike me, but it's yeah. What was your kind of vibe for that first goal? Go again.
Once again, I just feel like I have had such a difficult couple of weeks or months with this team that like I don't even get excited right now when they score because it's just you think you're safe and then it just unravels and then you're in overtime again and I just it's hard. I mean, I liked it. I was happy that obviously I was happy with the result, but it's just been such a up and down situation with zero consistency. Like every game recently has kind of like felt like a last for a certain person behind the bench, and it gets me a little bit nervous just because when you hear other people in the media saying that, like I want to believe that that Hack still has the room and everything, and I think that there was a lot of change during the off season. Um, I don't know if we just didn't anticipate how much that would impact our offense or whatever. But it kind of took me back a little bit to year one. with how they were doing in the beginning. It was very scary. I was like, I don't know if I could do 82 of this. Like that's a lot. Um, but yeah, I honestly was just happy that they got back on. I honestly I have been paying attention to the Canucks, but like not to a point where I was like I just didn't know what to expect. So I was kind of happy that I didn't really know, but also just kind of assumed we were gonna lose since we played last night too. So and win in a shootout too, like not even, so
Yeah. It was an
what was a
exciting
goal for me?
shootout.
It was great, but
A goal is a
God.
goal, a win is a win, 2 points is 2 points. Yeah, I kind of relate to what you're saying. It's like a hard relationship to have even when they score. That was me
Yeah,
last season with the Canucks because it was like, yeah, we scored a few goals. What does that matter? We're 0 and 8. Like I think no 0 and 7.
yeah,
I always say 0 and 8 and then I went back and I did the math and I was wrong. But like two of those games that we lost, I believe two of them were overtime losses when we were leading it originally in the game. I
yeah.
mean, there was a lot of blown leads last season. I think it was mentioned on the broadcast that the Kraken have 9 blown leads so far this season.
I'm telling you, I like it's not even a matter of like getting like cocky like when your team is good because even with the other team that I root for it's still I still have that feeling of like you want to get too comfortable. It's hockey, like you never know what's going to happen, but it actually at times has felt worse when we have scored first, so exactly for that reason like it's a lot of blown leads, it's a lot of
Yeah,
heartbreak.
it's like a bunch of false hope, pretty
Yeah,
much. That oh yeah, hey, maybe we have some kind of, consistency and then it's just nothing. Um
nothing.
if it makes you feel any better, they're above the Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers.
Anything above Edmonton is good news for me personally, but sorry.
Then and anything above Edmonton, then you'll love the Northwest Territories, I guess. I don't know. Yes, the Kraken, are they in a playoff spot? They're under 500 or are they? I don't know if this is updated yet. Da, da, da. It's updated. Yeah, they're under 500, just barely. I know it's like not even American Thanksgiving is like the marker for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
Um, that's coming up later this week. Yeah, the Kraken are just behind the Coyotes for a wild card spot currently. So don't lose hope. You guys last
yeah,
season. Sorry. You guys last season, you beat the Avalanche in the playoffs. That was a surprise. Yeah,
wild.
it feels a lot just I see the tweet a lot online where it's like experience Seattle Kraken hockey. I've seen
Yeah,
that a lot over the last 2 years since the team has started, pretty much. And
yeah,
I feel like that could not describe this team better. That phrase could not describe this team better. Because some games it feels like they're that first season where it was just completely terrible. I understand people had a lot of not okay. I understand people had a lot of expectations because of
hmm,
Vegas. Huh.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Vegas ruined everything for expansion franchises now. Everything. Um, there was a lot of expectations with that, and then they weren't as good. There was a lot of shifting around.
yeah,
Um, they have a captain, and then he gets traded the same season. It was wild. Um,
it's horrible.
yeah. And then last season, they come out of the gate. They're doing much better than we were. We were very surprised. Then this
Hmm.
season, it's like a mix of both. They're kind of balancing it out. It's battle of the mid right now between them and Anaheim for fourth in the division. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Do I think Seattle is probably a better team than Anaheim? Yes. But if the Canucks are in the top 5 of the league, I think anything is possible.
Anything's possible. Oh my
Cause
gosh.
yeah, Bluger got called for hooking on Wenberg. Then, like, almost immediately after that power play ends for the Kraken, so they were 0-2 on the power play despite this goal happening. There was a shot from the blue line that went off Eberle's potential high stick. They couldn't determine it. Kevin Bieksa thought it was a high stick. I believe him. Because it's Kevin Bieksa, and when
Love
is he
him.
yeah, love him.
Love him, by the way.
Yeah, he's great. You know, just the stanchion goal still was core memory. Anyway, he was the guy who said laser, and I was like, okay, Dr. Evil. Yeah, shot from the blue line, tipped in by Eberle. It got stuck under Demko's leg, and then he moved back, and it got pushed in. This game was the goofiest game for goals.
So goofy.
It was so goofy. Like, it was...
That's what I was saying. It, like, felt like I was watching, like, a sim. Like, it just didn't make sense sometimes. And like, even, like I said earlier, like, I didn't even expect the first one to count. And then when it did, or Kraken's first one to count, when it did, I was like, okay, like, yay. But, like, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's been...
Okay.
It really felt like you just typed... It really felt AI generated.
Yes.
Because you just type in Seattle Kraken Canucks game, and this is what happens.
Even the score, because it was like, I feel like they've always been like a fourth, like one Kraken, because we won, I guess, last couple ones against you guys.
Yeah.
And then it's usually 4 goals each, whichever one of us that wins it. So it's very kind of weird.
Our first win of the season last year was against the Kraken in our 8th game. We won 5-4. So it's always been, like, super close.
Like, someone has scores a 4.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's always high scoring. It's AI generated. That is... I'm so convinced. But yeah, got stuck under Demko's leg, got pushed in with him moving back. It was the goofiest game. I watched the Edmonton-Tampa game before this, and Tampa had some, like... Was it Tampa? Yes. The Tampa had some glorious moments, and then I watched this game, and I'm like, what is going on? Wasn't enough to be a definitive high stick. It was Jordan Eberle's 24th goal against the Canucks in his career, and I really was confused about that, and I remembered who he was drafted by, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, why? They haven't been around for that long. Okay, yeah. And then Hughes, he gets to tie JT Miller along with Elias Pettersson, who got the secondary assist on that goal. There was a face-off win. It got passed from Pettersson to Hughes to Hronek to Hughes and in. Insane shot. Apparently Grubauer was looking for goalie interference. If there was a third goal review in this game, the lower bowl would be even more empty than it was tonight. So, yeah. It was really very oddly empty. Like, the upper bowl's probably full. Nothing lower. Yeah, so Hughes, Pettersson, and Miller tie with 28 points in the NHL scoring race. Their team still loses. Demko, he was on something else tonight. He stops a goal off his chest. Like, there was no need to do that, but he just fully stood up and just the puck came off of him. I really don't know. Slay.
Chest bump against the puck. Slay.
He's really giving it his all. Well, I think Demko was a very good goalie, and yes, he made some key saves tonight. I do think Grubauer was the better goalie overall. I think he's underrated in the league, in my opinion, but, you know, it's my opinion. Yeah. Third period starts off great for the Canucks. Yanni Gourde, 3-2. The puck was never settled in the Canucks' end. There was less control of the rebounds. That's when the Canucks start, giving up. Just vibe. There was no one watching him go directly in front of the net. Again, that's where the Kraken are all scoring from. I guess that's the secret to beating a Stanley Cup winner in the playoffs. I don't remember us doing that against St. Louis in the bubble. But then again, when does Binnington care about things other than himself? Then there was the Miller interference on Tanev, which I thought would be a slashing call.
Yeah,
I also didn't notice Tanev only pushes the puck with like one hand. I was like, oh, that's goofy, but you know, it's Brandon Tanev. I would expect that from him. Surrey Eagles legend. That's why I left my jacket here. He played one season for the Eagles.
I
When
love that.
when his brother Chris was a Canuck, years and years ago. Yeah, so there's the interference. Miller hits his other hand. Yeah. Then, like, not immediately off the face-off, but pretty soon into that Kraken power play, Yamamoto trips Pettersson. Then after he gets the call for that, Pettersson starts tapping his stick in like a mock applause because I don't know if that was directed towards Yamamoto or towards the refs, but Yamamoto had taken him down earlier before the Miller call, and it was not called. It was finally caught. I just thought that was a little funny.
Probably both at him and at the refs. Like,
Yeah. I know Patterson, he can be a little, I don't want to use the term
is he
pissy.
sassy?
He's a little
Is he
sassy, yeah.
sassy?
Pissy is
Okay.
that's trademark for Leon Draisaitl, but he's
Yeah.
a bit sassy. Like, I don't know if this is like equates to the same thing, but when Kuzmenko got hit in the face with a puck a few games ago, you could see that obviously in the bruising in his
hmm
whole chin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But still smiling. Yeah, when he took the puck to the face, there were like people trying to record, and one of the refs was standing, in front of people trying to record with their phones, but he was going around and like tapping the glass with his stick, like
Yeah.
getting them to stop. So yeah, sometimes he can be a bit sassy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
You need a sassy king sometimes, as long as it's helpful.
Yes. You can be helpful sassy, Pettersson, Draisaitl. You can also be unhelpful sassy.
Yeah. You can be a
Ben,
rat sassy.
Shifley,
Yeah.
Kachuk. I'm a Kachuk fan. I feel bad for saying that, but yeah.
It's a compliment to him, I think, at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, sassy.
He owns it.
He's sassy.
Sassy king. He owns it.
Or McDavid is, I don't know if he's unhelpful sassy or helpful sassy.
He's
at
just
this point.
that standing guy emoji to me.
That's him.
I don't think that warrants a sassy. I think that's just like he's there. He's vibing. He's his own guy.
I feel like that's the what is it? The CI. There's a banking commercial. I don't know if guys would have it on the US broadcasts, but on the Canadian ones, there's one where it's like an investment plan commercial for a bank, but it's treated like it's a play that's being written out.
Oh.
And he like cheers and he's like, let's go, but it's like the weakest let's go ever. And I understand you're trying to make hockey players act, but oh my god, that was like, painful.
Let's go.
He's giving just male theater kid that needs credits. Like that's what it's giving.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I was a theater kid. I feel like I can judge them. Yeah, on the 4-on-4, there was an insane Larson chance, but Demko kind of sprawls out. Yeah. There was a comment on our end from Sportsnet, from Dave Tomlinson saying I can't speak. Larceny on Larson. I do appreciate alliteration. That was a good one.
That was good.
That was a good one.
I love Dave too. He used to do Kraken radio.
Yeah.
And he's awesome. He's such a sweetie. Hopefully you guys have him.
We stole him from you guys.
You guys really did. You really did.
Yeah. The Beniers scores. That was a tie. That was another goofy goal. Yes, there was no review for that one. Goofy. It was goofy because Myers is trying to get the puck in the corner and shoots it around the rink, right? Then he blows a tire. Eberle gets to the puck first and passes it out to Beniers. Also blows a tire and falls.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and then Beniers is directly in front of the net, and no one's with him. All-star Matty Beniers is not being covered by
I know.
any of the grown men on that team. Matavineers is younger than me. Is he? I don't know, actually. But yeah, no one's watching him. Puts it over Demko for Tubineers. It's so goofy. AI generated.
So goofy.
I want to say this league isn't scripted because of games like this.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's some shenanigans going on sometimes. But, why? If they've scripted it, why do I go through this emotional turmoil every week?
Right. Exactly.
There was kind of a crazy moment. Juleson went after McCann. McCann goes after Pedersen instead, and then Juleson comes back and cross-checks him to the ground. There was no call for that. I mean, at least Noah Juleson's good for something on the ice. No offense, but slightly offense. Then there was a... I spelt this completely wrong, I realized after, because I wrote Cartier like the jewelry brand.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's spelled way harder than
yeah,
that.
it started, he turned
It's
around
like Mario
on the feed.
Kart.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, that's the only way I remember.
He turned around on the
spelled.
screen, and I was just like, oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
misspelled that, but it was too late to go. And then yeah, that was the first Canucks power play, because the first penalty called on Yamamoto was a 4-on-4 that was created, and yes, the Canucks had a
Right.
power play for 15
Couple
seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really our power play. We get our first full power play after 50 minutes.
Ooh.
The Canucks do jack shit with it. They can't even get the puck to stay in the Kraken zone. Like, the Kraken are all over them with with killing the penalty. You would have thought that there were 6 Kraken on the ice instead of 4. Like, it was insane. Hoglander with 9 seconds left, or 10. They changed the clock after. There was, again, very goofy goal. It ends 4-3. Myers shoots the puck. Niels Hoglander tries to tip it in. It goes off of Grubauer in some places. I think it also went off another defenseman in front, or another player in front. I don't remember who it was though. And yeah, it goes in after. But again, 10 seconds late. The Canucks call a timeout, still don't get a goal, and yeah, that's it. Horn blows. There was a little bit of pushing and shoving after. Brock Besser was angry at Yanni Gord. No clue why. He was saying something, but I was like, I can't read lips. I'm just my experience.
Hope for the best.
Yeah. I don't know. He looked mad, and I'm just like, Bess only gets mad when somebody's like in Demko's crease. So I'm like, oh. Something must have happened, but okay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, our first home regulation loss of the season. But the Kraken won. Congrats, Kraken. As we're gonna get into the next moment here. Just remember, everybody, hold on to questions and comments for the end in a bit here. We're just gonna talk a little bit about the budding rivalry between the Canucks and Kraken, because I feel like in the first season it was a bit unfair between the Canucks and the Kraken, because a lot of even the times where we still had Travis Green behind the bench, which is insane to say, because that was so long ago, that like even then we would beat the Kraken. There was the infamous Connor Garland was getting chirped behind the Canucks bench by Kraken fans, and then he goes out, scores, and stares them down. That was my computer background for months. Because I was just like, that's so cool. Yeah, I was really impressed by that. But still then, it felt a bit like the nuclear bomb versus coughing baby meme.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
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 If people in the chat don't understand that, please
Sorry.
Google it. It's a great A tier. But I do think it was kind of a bit like that. Then last season, the Kraken won a game against the Canucks. Very exciting. The Kraken were also doing better than the Canucks. Obviously, we are horrible. We were horrible. We're not horrible currently.
Yeah.
Were.
Past tense.
Past, yes, exactly, exactly. I think I've covered the most losses this season. I covered the Rangers overtime
I should have
loss.
came in happier than think knowing that it was with you this time because I
This
was sure it was not going to go well for me.
say
So,
yeah, I didn't get to cover a win I think until December last year.
um,
It was bad. It was bad. But no, this season, yeah, it was I've covered the Rangers loss, the Tampa loss, and um this loss obviously. We haven't really had many other losses. So, I don't know what to say.
I know.
Yeah, it's then this season, I really thought we were gonna win because, maybe
As
they
did
needed a
I.
revenge game. Yeah, maybe they needed a revenge game after losing to Calgary. I don't know. The rivalry, I feel like, is kind of dead in the water at the moment.
I think
Um,
it's very like frenemies thing
yeah,
where it's like we're not really enemies till you piss me off and then I might fight you, but only if I feel like it. Because as you were saying, we were really getting up on your goalie and didn't really do much about that. But then once we started making some of your guys angry, they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't like you." But I don't think that they look at us on the calendar like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a rough time tonight for the other team." Like,
I feel like
I mean,
yeah,
not good.
yeah, I feel like the
It's
team
boring.
hurt more last Saturday losing to the Leafs in Toronto than they did tonight losing to the Kraken.
Absolutely.
Which says, like, I understand the first season was bad for the Kraken, last season was bad for the Canucks. This season they're both kind of in this, like, obviously the Canucks had an insane run. Regression, that's the word we keep hearing repeated now. But it feels like they're somewhat operating at the same level, right?
Yeah.
But the the rivalry is still not at its peak. I feel like if when they play in Seattle, is it like next week? I believe. I
I
think
think on the 28th or something
the
like
Canucks
that.
are playing in Seattle soon. So the Canucks are playing in Seattle soon. So I feel like when that happens, because the Kraken fans, you guys have ops. You guys are so young in the league, but there's ops already. Like, Cale Makar was
Yep.
getting booed from every angle in Climate
It
Pledge.
was tough because it was very confusing for me because I went to school with Kale and I'm always rooting for him, always. I'm always rooting for him. And so when that happened, it was like I couldn't even I honestly I couldn't even hate him. It was really hard. But to something that you said earlier, it's like I saw a comment early on in the stream that said like you should have Nadia on at some point, and I totally agree. But I think that the Nadia and Red thing kind of set the rivalry back a little bit because it was just such a wholesome moment where it was
Mm-hmm.
like it just felt it was just such a weird thing, it was such a weird thing that she had. I mean, she's a fan of both teams. I think she has family in Vancouver area. So like that made it confusing. She was in her Kraken gear when it happened. Like it was very weird. And I thought that like even when I was working for the team at that time, it felt so bizarre to just like have this very wholesome moment between us when the whole narrative was supposed to be that you guys were thy enemy. And I feel like I get more excited and also scared when we play Edmonton because Edmonton beats us basically every time. It's a scheduled loss basically for whatever reason. So it's really tough, but like that to me is a closer rival, even though it's completely skewed. Like I feel like we're getting more even with you guys, which is also doesn't make it a rivalry either. Like it's just a weird situation. But I kind of like the frenemies aspect of it right now because it makes playing teams like Colorado weird. It makes playing Edmonton weird. And I think, I would like some more entertainment though. I felt like Kraken definitely got away with a little too much just because Thatcher can hold his own, but like that doesn't mean he should have to. Like that's your goalie. So
Yeah, I've noticed definitely in a lot of games so far this season, or just games in general, when Thatcher Demko's in net, the defense gives up, but when we have the backup, they kind of just don't. They care about defense for once. I noticed this 2 years ago with Halak. I noticed this last season with Martin and Delia. A little bit less though because Demko was out and they kind of didn't have another reference of bad defense. Um, and then this season with Casey DeSmith as Demko's backup, arguably the best backup we've had for a goalie of Demko caliber because he can actually play the entire 60 minutes, but at the same time, it's not really consistent with our defense. Like, we need to also be giving the same support to Thatcher Demko. Yeah, that's kind of an ongoing thing. There was a good point made in the chat by Taves. Wait till the Kraken play the Nucks in the playoffs, then it'll be a rivalry. I've been saying this. I want to see that first round of the playoffs. I want to see that because I feel like the
Lord.
Canucks. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, you get it. You're gonna win that round.
No, no,
That's
no,
what
no, no.
happens.
We lost tonight. We lost
No, I know, but
tonight.
it's just honestly, I mean, I think anytime you play a team in the playoffs, it does dial things up a notch.
Like, why?
But
Why do we hate Chicago?
like everybody says, it's just such an even. I don't know, even is even the right word, but like it feels like a very even matchup in some ways, right? So it's like it wouldn't even be entertaining. It would just be like a one of us is gonna win this and one of us is gonna lose. Like give me, I would just like
It's a
it
mid
got
off.
exciting a little bit towards the end when you
Yeah.
guys scored last minute, but it's like okay, maybe try that at like the minute marks or the 10-second marks. We can have a little more drama.
Yeah.
It's just it's annoying.
If the NHL, I was about to say if the NHL was scripted, I feel like they'd write more drama into the script, but knowing how boring the NHL tries to be, this is exactly the way they'd want it.
Yeah,
I
100%.
yeah, it's kind of a mid off. It
It
was kind of
really
a mid
is.
off. Um, yeah, for I think playing in the playoffs would create a rivalry because like we really hated Chicago. Like I don't understand where Connor Bedard was coming from, where he's like, oh, I looked up to Patrick Kane when I was a kid. No, you're from Vancouver. We hate him.
Right.
We still have the late 2000s, early 2010s mindset of always losing to them in the playoffs. There's a lot of lore going on. Um, but when it comes to just the Seattle Vancouver rivalry, because of the frenemies aspect that you mentioned, with the whole Nadia and Red story happening in the first season,
Yeah.
um, I do think that kind of leads to the watered down rivalry we might have because obviously now the Avalanche and Kraken fans go at it every game.
Yeah.
They're going at it because they met in the playoffs and Avalanche got eliminated. This this hasn't happened yet, obviously, with the Canucks. I
Mm.
do think it was a bit interesting that if the NHL wanted to push regional rivalries, because apparently they love doing regional access games only, even if they're in Sweden. Um yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, I love that they grow the game like this. No, so when it comes to the the Kraken have an outdoor game coming up. The jerseys got leaked by the Utah Jazz and AEW Wrestling. Um, yeah, they
It was more like a random soft launch. It's the
yeah.
most random, well, I guess hard launch, but soft because you're not going to the Utah Jazz thinking you're going to see Kraken jerseys. Like that's what didn't make any sense to me. I guess, you know, it didn't make sense to me. I can't even, there's no rationalizing it. I obviously it was not like oh my God, how did this happen? Like it was definitely a planned thing. You would just hope that planned things make sense. Um, and so when I saw that, I was like, it did feel like an accident. Like, yeah, if the Utah Jazz are promoting
Mm-hmm.
Winter Classic jersey for
Like
for the Kraken, how does that? I know we don't have an NBA team, but like you have the Seahawks, you have some off-duty Mariners players right now. It's
off-duty
like
Storm
we couldn't
players.
find I mean, send one to Tate McRae, like get her on our side, like do something that makes sense.
They keep
But
playing greedy. I feel like they're paying her too much.
right, do something. Like I don't know, I didn't hate them. Obviously, we can talk about them later, but it's just a very. I do hope that we get to a rivalry point because that was my expectation. Season one, even in season two, and we're in season three. I feel like obviously we'll find out if if next week we beat you too, then maybe. But
If it's a more exciting game, maybe. I feel like then that
I
will
need it to
create.
be more exciting
Yeah,
than feeling like I just randomized, that I asked AI to to give me the final score for the game.
exactly. Yeah, and just to talk, just a little bit about the jerseys. They are callback to ex or former Seattle teams from the 1910s,
Yeah,
the
I think yeah.
Metropolitans. I think I'm not. I
Yeah.
wrote a research paper on
No, no,
this like
no.
this week.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what they were called. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah,
Metropolitans.
that makes sense with like all the stripes. I liked how they made it with the Kraken colors. I wish they didn't choose the red S, but I kind of understand where they're
Stop.
coming from.
That was my
Yeah,
only mental complaint about it was the red S because not that I don't exactly know what other core color I would have put in there, but something is so sick about the red eye in the jerseys
mm-hmm.
that it's like that's like why would you
Like
why would
red
you fix something that
text.
wasn't broken? Like I don't
I know.
know.
Vegas, their jersey looks like something out of Shrek. I saw a tweet saying that earlier, and that has not left my brain. Yeah, I've seen that a lot. It looks like a Shrek theme something like happily ever after cup or something like that or whatever.
Oh
What's
my
it
gosh.
called? I need to watch Shrek again. This is where we're getting to on the hockey broadcast.
Oh,
Shrek.
absolutely. I just watched it today. It's still good. Still
I
good.
yeah, there's so many movies I try and go and rewatch. I made a reference to Cars 2 in an article I wrote about F1 the other week, and people like I was in like a meeting talking about it after, and people were very confused because Cars 2 it's like the one that isn't about racing really.
Yeah.
Um
I was like,
I
I know I saw it, but if you asked me the plot, have I could never have told you.
it's my favorite. It's my favorite one of the Cars movies, but yeah, partially
Okay,
because
I'll have to watch that. I'll have to watch
it's
that.
like the spy one that focuses on Mater
Oh.
and like this underground
Oh.
ring of like
Oh.
beat up cars. But yeah, so I reference it in an article about Formula One, and
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, design's
That's talent,
callback.
honestly.
Because he's a Formula One racer. He's
Yeah.
the Italian car that's Lightning McQueen's rival, but Lightning McQueen isn't the main character. I could talk about Cars 2 for way too long. Let's get into the last minute. Send in your questions and comments into the chat. Let's also get liking the video. Get liking the video. Type in the chat. If you're listening to this podcast platform, rate and review. Subscribe to STPN. Follow at STPN Sports on Twitter. Follow. You can find Chanel at Chanelly37 on Twitter
Yep.
with two L's.
Yep.
Two L's in that. And then I'm at Real Kaja Mae because I am real and that's my name. It's even on.
You're so real.
Thank you. It's even on my jacket. Because. Ta-da!
Yay.
Everyone else got their last name, but I go by May so much. That's mine. Um. Krakens feel like the random cousin that showed up at the family gatherings. You don't hate him, them, or anything, but you forgot about them. Yeah. Can I just.
I at times I wish I could forget. I don't know. I I don't I guys, I used to work for the team. That's the only reason why it's a little bit closer to top of mind for me particularly. But I do it yeah, I did wish they were memorable in a way that was good, you know. And I mean, I think it was really impressive when we beat the Avs, but that kind of gets all undid when we start the way that we have started this year. So it really shifted the momentum out of our favor. We got rid of a lot of key components. I wasn't exactly sure why for some of them. I honestly truly thought Ryan Donato was going to be our captain at some point. So when he got traded, it was kind of devastating. I didn't think he was like, I obviously thought like maybe Eberle would be first, but I thought that somewhere along the line we would get a Ryan Donato captaincy. So, but now I have no idea where he is or how he's doing. So that just goes to show you what happens once you leave a team that I pay attention to. So,
I that's nothing like what Canucks fans are like. A guy gets traded, and I got Jack Rathbone fight highlights from the AHL on my timeline. Like, okay. I actually don't. Forgot Ryan Donato got traded.
yep.
Let's find out.
I think he's in Chicago.
Oh, well, that
Is he?
sucks for him.
No.
He was
Is
signed
he?
by Chicago. Yes,
Yeah.
in free agency.
Wow, guys.
Imagine
It's
willingly
it's
choosing to
almost
go
2
to
a.m.
Illinois. Oh my gosh,
I'm doing
sorry.
so good. No, it's
Yes.
okay.
Um, yeah, question from Luke in the chat. How deep does each team have to go for you to consider the season a success? I really thought it was going to be a wild card for Vancouver this season, so I am thoroughly surprised. Am I always going to be critical? Yes. It's like the only thing I'm good at is making things depressing. But I will say, if we don't make the playoffs now this season is a disappointment. I know they said that at the beginning of last season, and then last season happened, but I think that by not saying it at the beginning of this season, superstitions, call me Sidney Crosby. What would make you consider the Seattle Kraken a success for this year? Even though, they made the playoffs in more recent memory than the Canucks have, considering the last time they made them was before the Kraken existed, so.
Honestly, yeah, if we get into that second wild card spot, because I assume that it's definitely not going to be the first one, that would be awesome. I think if we don't make I feel like recency bias is so painful. Because in some ways, like I don't know. It just a lot of the off-season things just didn't make sense, and we started weird. And then like some of the games that you think you're gonna lose, you don't. And but every other game we go to overtime, and it's exhausting. So if I don't die before the end of the season, that would be ideal for me personally. But I would really hope that they make the playoffs. I think I'm gonna have a really stressful off season if they don't. I'm not sure how much more they can shake things up in a way that's actually going to impart change on the team. They're definitely not like haven't given up and haven't been complacent because when they do have those like really important must wins, they usually do win and it usually does unify the room again. But I think it's definitely one of those things where it's like when it's bad, and when it's good, it's like okay, like we'll live to see another day. But it does feel like we're on the brink every game, and maybe that's just me protecting myself and my little heart. But I think it would just be a success if we even make the playoffs, which is, we'll see if that even makes a difference depending on how that goes.
I
So,
mean, regression is a thing, as we've learned.
mhm.
And the Ducks and Coyotes are ahead of the Kraken right now, so I do think there is a good chance.
Yeah,
The LA Kings are also ahead, and again, a good chance.
they're slaying. The Kings are doing good lately.
I,
So,
I don't know. I
I'm scared.
the Kings are just odd. They're an odd group to me because I thought you guys were rebuilding. What is this? Um,
I know. But
a chat from fellow Game Over Vancouver compatriot, Canuck Clay. Are you even more concerned that our last two losses have been to Pacific Division opponents? No, for the Calgary loss because I expected us to lose that one. Off the top of the stream, I said that I thought Huberto was getting a hat trick because that was just it just felt so Canucks. Like how we all thought that we were going to lose to San Jose. How many weeks ago that was because San Jose had not won a game yet, and then we murdered them. Um, like absolutely decimated. San Jose is completely wiped off the map. You watch San Andreas, that's what it looks like. Anyway, I'm not concerned about tonight. It was a closer game than getting decimated in the uh oh. I need a good word to describe the Saddle Dome. Depreciating? It's falling apart is what I'm trying to say. Um it is very much so falling apart. But I think yeah, getting losing in wait, I said I wasn't concerned about that loss. I don't know where my brain is right now. I guess I'm not concerned about either. I hope we don't continue this trend and lose to San Jose because then that puts us in like the same position as Edmonton a few weeks ago. Granted, you know, we don't have whatever is going on in Edmonton, but I do think that dilapidated. Thank you. Yes, I do think that the Canucks, while it wasn't great that we've lost the last two games to division rivals, I don't think that that's much of an issue at this current moment, considering just how the season has started. Again, the NHL is absolutely insane. The St. Louis Blues were at the bottom of the league on New Year's Day and won the Stanley Cup later on. So anything can happen.
Yeah, I saw someone in the chat be like the Panthers were in the second wild card and like look what happened to them. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. They went on a good run, but what do we all remember? It's the ninth one. So it's like it's such a pain, but it's like we all know that at the end of the day, especially again coming from the team that shall not be named, had the best regular season ever. But guess what? Didn't go so good in the playoff time, and that's all anybody will ever talk about, and that's all I'll ever remember really too. So it's like it only matters if you win, and if you don't, that's all they remember. So as much as it will be important for the Kraken to make the playoffs, and it would be sick if they could like close out the first round, maybe. It's just a very particular time where every loss sucks, and it really doesn't quite matter to me if it's a division rival or not. It obviously takes away morale, and that makes every game harder to do, and it just is a very, it's a difficult time of year too. So whenever we get to this point where it's like it feels like it's a make or break time, it's really hard to think that far into the future of like, how, I mean, like, yeah, what's is it really going to matter that it was a division person that we lost to? No, it's just going to matter the points that we lost at the end of the day. So it's a difficult position to be in, but I just think that maybe if we won like maybe one or two games against Edmonton, I'd be able to sleep a little bit easier. Not because I want to like beat them because of what they're going through right now, but it would just be nice to beat to beat them at least once. Like I feel like we always just have a really difficult game against them, and they feel more like a rivalry to me, even though, like I said earlier, it's not really. They keep beating us, so is it really a rivalry? It's just like no, they're just really obnoxious to play against. And they love winning and scoring against us, especially Kane, which is also unfortunate for other reasons. So
Yes. Um I I just thought of something. The Kraken and the Canucks don't have a rivalry. The greatest rivalry between Vancouver sports and Seattle sports is the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners every summer. I feel like that's the greatest rivalry. Outside of sports, it's Swifties across the border trying to get tickets for, the first time that Taylor comes here since 2015. Anyway, I think ending on that note would be a good point to kind of stop. I mean, I do think I think we've said all that we could say. Losing isn't
Totally.
great. Winning is great, but also it's not a feeling that lasts. I feel like the Canucks needed to get humbled a bit, and this is definitely
Oh,
a humbling experience. Yeah, they needed a refresher that they are not world beaters. They are the Vancouver Canucks.
I know, but does it hit the same way? Because it was like I feel like if you're like, damn, we lost, but it was to the Kraken, so does that really count? Like, I feel like that could be part of the vibe.
That
I would hope for your sake that it does set them back a second. But I think the other people in the room would be like, but yeah, it was the Kraken. Like, who cares?
I think it was the way
Again, I'm
they
a fan,
lost.
and it feels bad, but
Yeah. I feel like the way they lost is because Calgary, I feel like that was more like, okay, it's Calgary. Like, whatever,
yeah,
back to back, scheduled loss. Not even 24 hours between puck drops in
yeah,
another time. Like, that was insane, first off. But I do think that with the Kraken game, just the way they lost, with
such a
how
goofy game.
such a goofy game, I think that that effect will it will have some effect on them.
Okay, okay.
We
As long as
play.
we could help, as long as we could help
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Thank you for giving an ice bath to our professional athletes making millions of dollars a year, because that's fun. Anyway, good night, everybody. This has been Game Over Vancouver. I have been joined by the lovely Chanel. Follow her on everything. Check her out on everything. Check out her blog. Check out her everything. She's just amazing. Amazing human. We love Chanel here. Mwah. Amazing. Um, I'm Kaja Mae. Seattle Kraken beat the Canucks. Good for them. Stay humble, kids. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.